Salutations to all our future judges. In this video, we are going to see Indian Evidence Act 1872. But before going into the video, I'd like to make few requests to our viewers as well as the subscribers. Kindly do not skip the video. Watch the video from the beginning till the end. If you skip in between, you may be missing very crucial information or very crucial aspects which have been explained. Hence, watch from the beginning till the end. And next request is, please do have a notebook and a pen with you, because various questions which have been asked in Evidence Act in various exams would be mentioned or would be stated. And in addition to this, idea would be given as to how questions could be framed in a particular section. It is very important for you. So you all need to make a note of all these aspects. And in addition to this, some additional illustrations would also be given while teaching the act. Hence, you please make a note of all those additional illustrations as well. They would be of absolute help to you in understanding the particular section. And in addition to this, various ways or techniques would be taught which would help you to remember those sections, or to say some memory techniques would be given. This would be really helpful to you in remembering the sections when you go to the exam. I hope this video would be of absolute and great utility to you. Now, let us see section 55. Cases in which secondary evidence relating to documents may be given. There are certain situations when a secondary evidence can be given relating to documents. And what are those situations in which this can be done? Secondary evidence may be given of the existence, condition, or contents. These three aspects are absolutely important. Existence, where you say like this document did exist, and where you say what is the condition of the document, or if you say with respect to the contents of a document. This can be done when the original is shown or appears to be in the possession or power of the person against whom the document is sought to be proved. There is a document which is to be proved against a person, and that person is holding the document. Next, or of any person out of reach of or not subject to the process of the court. So there is a person who cannot be reached by the court, or who is not subject to the process of the court. In that case, this can be done. Or of any person legally bound to produce it. So there is some person who is legally bound to produce it. So a person who is bound to legally produce it is having it in possession. And when, after the notice mentioned in section 66, such person does not produce it. So your notice is being given to that person to produce it. So in that case, that person does not produce it. In all these situations, the secondary evidence may be given. Next, B. When the existence, condition, or contents of the original have been proved to be admitted in writing by the person against whom it is proved, or by his representative in interest. So to put it in a simple way, the opposite party against whom this document is being proved, it is proved that the opposite party has admitted in writing somewhere with respect to the existence, condition, or contents of the original, or is representative. Anyone, when he is accepting with respect to the existence, condition, or contents, then in that case, secondary evidence may be given. C. When the original has been destroyed or lost. So obviously, when the original is destroyed or lost, we cannot produce it. So we have to produce only secondary evidence. Or when the party offering evidence of its contents cannot, for any other reason, not arising from his own default or neglect, produce it in reasonable time. So to put it in a simple manner, so imagine a party is trying to offer evidence of the contents of that particular document. Due to some reason, and that reason should not be of his own default or neglect, he is not in a position to produce that particular evidence in a reasonable time. In that case, secondary evidence may be given. D. When the original is of such a nature as not to be easily movable. Imagine the original is in the preservation or in the place where the government preserves all such documents, or it is of a very huge volume. Imagine it is containing some 20,000 pages or say some 50,000 pages. It's so huge and it cannot be moved. In that case, the secondary evidence can be given. E. When the original is a public document within the meaning of section 74, with respect to a public document, secondary evidence can be given. Next, F. When the original is a document of which a certified copy is permitted by this act or by any other law enforced in India to be given as evidence. So, if imagine the act is, this particular act is permitting to produce a certified copy. The act is saying if you produce certified copy, that is sufficient. In that case, or any other law in India which permits this, in that case the secondary evidence can be produced. Now let us move to G. When the originals consist of numerous accounts or other documents which cannot be conveniently examined by the court, and the fact to be proved is the general result of the whole collection. Imagine there are some accounts of say some 100 years. So it's quite natural that the court cannot go through the entire or the numerous accounts, or there are so many documents which court needs to cross check or cross refer. In that case, if the fact to be proved is the general result of the whole collection, if it is pertaining to how the accounts are being made or what outcome was derived in all the situation, it is a general result of the whole collection. In that case, secondary evidence can be produced. However, in cases A, C, D, any secondary evidence of the contents of the document is admissible. With respect to A, C and D, secondary evidence of the contents of document is admissible. In case B, the written admission is admissible. In case of E or F, a certified copy of the document but no other kind of secondary evidence is admissible with respect to subclause E and F. In case of G, evidence may be given as to the general result of the documents by any person who examined them. So imagine somebody is going and examining those particular accounts which is say for 100 years and who is skilled in the examination of such documents. Imagine he is a chartered accountant having say many years of experience, or he is an expert in that field. So he is giving opinion about the accounts which has been preserved. So in that case that can be accepted. Next is section 65A. Special provisions as to evidence relating to electronic record. This actually came into force on 17/10/2000. Now, let us see what this particular section says. The contents of electronic records may be proved in accordance with the provisions of 65B. Imagine there is an electronic record which someone needs to prove in the court. Then how they should prove it? That is given in section 65B. Admissibility of electronic records. Notwithstanding anything contained in this act, any information contained in an electronic record which is printed on a paper. Imagine you are taking a printout from the government website. 1. It is stored. This is actually stored in a computer or recorded or copied in optical or magnetic media. So optical media in the sense like for example in Aadhaar they take photograph using optical methods. So that is also an electronic record produced by a computer, hereinafter referred to as the computer output. So using a computer they use optical method, magnetic media, or they store it, they record it, they copy it, all they do with computer. So it shall be deemed to be also a document. So that will also be considered as a document if the conditions mentioned in this section are satisfied in relation to the information and the computer in question. So it should satisfy the conditions required for the information as well as the computer which is being used, and shall be admissible in any proceedings without further proof or production. That is very important. Please understand this, without further proof or production of the original. So original need not be produced, further proof is also not required, provided these conditions, certain conditions are fulfilled. As evidence of any contents of the original or of any fact stated therein, you may try to establish the contents of the original or any fact which is stated in the original, of which direct evidence would be admissible. Now let us move to subsection 2. The conditions referred to in subsection 1 in respect of a computer output shall be the following. Namely, A. Let us try to understand this particular subclass A with an example. As you all know, while providing Aadhaar card, they take photography, they take your fingerprint, they even take the iris. So all these things they do with the help of a computer. If an output is taken from that particular computer, which is lawfully used by a person authorized to do so, that output is covered under this. Next, B. The very important thing is that computer is used for regularly giving inputs. For example, the same computer is used for taking the details of persons who are seeking Aadhaar card. So regularly they do use this computer. So that's what they say, derived was regularly fed into the computer in the ordinary course of its said activities. So normally they use a particular computer for providing the Aadhaar card and they record all these information using that particular computer. Then it is regularly used in the normal course of its business. That is the very important aspect. Next is C. The most important thing is that the computer should have been operating properly for that entire period during which this particular output is given. Throughout the material part of the set period, the computer was operating properly. Imagine if there was some repair in that particular computer, some hardware technician would have inserted some aspect or would have removed some aspect or would have altered some aspect. There is a possibility. So that is why this particular section is given. And if during that particular period, if something has happened to the computer, then it should not affect the electronic record or the accuracy of its contents. That is very important. And if it was out of operation during that period, then its accuracy or the electronic information which is available inside the computer should not get affected. Next is D. The information contained in the electronic record reproduces or is derived from such information fed into the computer in the ordinary course of the said business. Imagine a printout is being given with respect to the informations in the computer. So that information which is in the electronic record should reproduce or is derived from such information fed into the computer. So you feed something into the computer and you take a printout of it. That contents what is available in the computer should have been fed in the ordinary course of the said activities. Subclass 3. Where over any period the function of storing or processing information for the purposes of any activities regularly carried on over that period as mentioned in clause A of subsection 2 was regularly performed by computers. So in this particular section they are speaking about the computers, like how the word computer can be interpreted. A. By the combination of computers operating over that period. Imagine there is a process which is taking place in a bank where you deposit money in the counter. It is being entered in a computer. Then again that entry is forwarded or entered into some other computer again. Then the combination of these computers are valid. Next, by different computers operating in succession over that period. Imagine there is a computer, then that computer is substituted or taken over by some other computer of a higher value or of a higher capacity. Then in that case, different computers operating in succession over that period, that is also considered. Next is C. By different combination of computers operating in succession over that period. So it is a combination of different computers which succeed over the previous computers. Next, D. In any other manner involving the successive operation over that period, in whatever order, of one or more computers and one or more combination of computers. So you can understand all these are together considered as a computer. The word computer will mean all these computers. Subclass 4. Imagine someone is trying to give a statement in evidence based on this section in the court. So in that case, he is producing a certificate to the court, and that certificate is with respect to identifying the electronic record containing the statement and describing the manner it was produced. They have produced the electronic record. The certificate is saying that this record was produced in this manner. Next, B. And it gives any particulars of such any device involved in the production of that electronic record. That certificate is saying it was produced using a computer so and so design, so and so capacity, whatever they could give, as may be appropriate for the purpose of showing that the electronic record was produced by a computer. So they have to produce that this record is produced by a computer, and they should specify the device. That is very important. Next, C. Dealing with any of the matters to which conditions mentioned in subsection 2 relate. So if it speaks about any matter which is connected under subsection 2, in all these situations, the certificate which is being produced is considered to be a evidence. However, it is very important that this certificate which is being produced and which is accepted as an evidence should have been signed by a person who is holding an official position, or who is mainly the person who is managing the relevant activities, or who is controlling the operation of the relevant device. It is very important. And the next thing is, this person can merely say that to the best of my knowledge and belief, I am giving this. That is enough. Now let us move to subclause 5. For the purposes of this section, the most important thing in this particular subclause 5 is that information shall be taken to be supplied to a computer if it is supplied thereto in any appropriate form. So imagine you are going to a government office and furnishing an information, or it is supplied to a computer. You are filling up a form and handing over the form to the staff who is sitting there. Then he is entering all these informations in the computer. So it means it is in an appropriate form. And whether it is so supplied directly or by means of any appropriate equipment. So in some cases where human voices are considered, where you say something and it is being recorded, even that is considered to be an input. Next, B. Whether in the course of activities carried on by any official, information is supplied with a view to its being stored or processed for the purposes of those activities by a computer operated otherwise than in the course of those activities. Imagine a scenario where you are going to a kiosk which is kept outside office. You are giving information. For example, you are giving your name, you are giving your mobile number, you are giving your email address. All these aspects which you feed in the kiosk are transferred to another computer where the process takes place. So in that case, both the computers are considered to be of being used in the daily activities. Actually, that staff is not working in the kiosk. He is working in some other computer. But your input is given in kiosk. But even that kiosk could be considered as if it is used for those activities. That is important. Next is C. So if an output is taken from a computer and that output may have been produced at that particular computer or by any other equipment. It need not be a computer, but it could be any other equipment which is giving the output. There may be human interference or intervention, or there may not be human intervention, but the output is given. For the purposes of this section, these aspects are to be considered. Now they are given an explanation. For the purposes of the section, any reference to information being derived from other information shall be a reference to its being derived therefrom by calculation, comparison, or any other process. So imagine you are given two forms. Those two forms are compared and a final output is given. Or you are giving one aspect. You are saying like you are going to construct this much area, and the cost is being calculated by the government official. So in that case, calculation is done by the government official. Your input is taken. Based on that input, calculation is being done and the output is given. So these aspects are to be considered for the purposes of this particular section. I hope you would have liked the video. If you like the video, please do press the thumbs up button and do share the video with your friends and motivate them. If you are not subscribed the channel, please do subscribe the channel and share the channel with your friends. If you feel that I've left something in this video, or you want me to change the way in explanations are given for the sections, please do let me know by way of comments. Let us join hands together and contribute for a learned society. Thank you.